Such a good song.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of the Crane Kicks Lex podcast. We got Jessica here. We got Dylan. No Kyle. He's probably painting more things pink. Whatever he can find, I bet. Maybe the car. Maybe that's how we can help him. He's been asking for help. We can go paint his new truck pink for him. Or maybe we can do like a wrap. I don't know. I don't know how to do those. We'll figure it out, though. Pretty sure you just put paint on saran wrap and then just wrap it around a truck, and then it'll be fine. So Kyle will be there soon. How's everybody doing? Jessica, what's up with you?
Not much. Soccer-filled weekend as usual with all the kids' games and LSC, and that's just life now.
Yeah, soccer, everything.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, what about you, Dylan? What's up, man?
I'm exhausted today. I just work and handling the dog for like all hours of the day. Cassie wasn't feeling good, so I was like overtime with the pup. So this is like my time I'm free. So I'm
escape.
Yeah, here we are.
Gave him a puppy Benadryl. Said, just go to sleep, Ollie.
No, that's why I was like late. I was getting them settled, and all it took was I turned off the lights. And then Perfect. He literally he went quiet and started sleeping. I really don't know what it is, but it was just like instant. Yep.
Good
I was like, does he want me to play rain sounds for him too? Like.
But you have to make the noise. You can't use a white noise machine. It can be used. You just got to do it. Yeah, with that. Play a didgeridoo.
Those are hard to play, man.
They're kind of crazy. My kids didn't know what one of those was, and so that's why it popped into my brain. And I showed them a video, and they were both like, "We really don't like the sound of that. That's like just disturbing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can see that. It kind of like gets into your core a little bit."
It's guttural. It's a guttural noise.
It is.
Fun fact: when I was in high school, I spent a summer in Australia, and apparently So I have one. I don't know that it's like. It's not it cracked on the way, like it was too dry. Anyways, but there's a special technique to breathing to where it's continual. Like you as you're breathing through it, there's a way. I don't even know how to describe. It's insane. Like to do a continual breath, like you're still breathing as you take in another. It's crazy. But that's how they will like have the sound be continual. And the technique to blow into it to actually get the noise you're supposed to, it's pretty cool.
And the spirit of Steve Irwin like appears in the clouds and he's cheering you on. He's like, "You got it, mate. You can do it." And it's like, "Yeah, Steve Irwin, I sure can."
That part of it. I had to summon a kangaroo.
What? Huh?
You played didgeridoo? You summon a kangaroo that way? No, I don't know.
You do that? A secret technique Dylan knows about that we don't. Whoa, okay. He's like citing the deep lore to us. I like that.
I practice the dark arts.
Didgeridoo arts. All right, let's get into some soccer. Let's do it. Next episode we'll have didgeridoo music as our opener. How about that?
There you
go. So, okay, let's jump into what we guys want to do. Let's do women first because, like, the hype is real right now. The hype is real. Jessica, we gotta show it off. I showed it off.
Oh, yeah.
Sicko mode. Just call me Travis Scott. Okay, we went crazy. Jessica's got her cool little binder. We got my little nerd card protectors. Can't see it, like my light just giving like a glare. I'm like blinding everybody who's watching this. And then Dylan actually has like some giant obelisk in his yard that they're just enshrined in, and it glows. And so his neighbors have tried to call the police on him, but then the police showed up and they're like, "Nope, we're LSC fans too. We're not having him take that down."
Yeah, but, I get a lot of complaints from the neighbors.
I couldn't help it. Like there's just like this weird like part of me where I'm like, I got to preserve these things. The LSC sicko mode is kicking in. And like Jessica was like, I got a cool binder. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And then I almost got a binder and I was like, I'm going to get like the cool protector things. And I might get like a little cool stand that they can set them on.
Oh yeah,
Maybe,
Terry, how they have coin, like there's a coin display.
Yeah.
You do
That rotate them.
When I was younger, when I was a wee lad,
I was a boy.
Cards. I collected Pokemon cards, and I had them in like a 3-ring binder that had like the
the
like
9 sleeves.
exactly. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do with these Johns.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, I've been
Nice.
collecting extra, so we might I don't know when, if we wait till we get a complete set or what, but there might be a future CKL giveaway of sorts
What?
with the extras.
Waiting for Jessica to do like an LSC card money spread on the pods. Flex on everybody. But no, that's exciting. I am really happy that they're doing these trading cards. I've been begging the club to do them forever and ever and ever. In fact, not many people know this, but it almost happened. Like me and somebody that used to be with the club, we almost collaborated and did it, and then it kind of just fell by the wayside because we were tired of waiting. Because what a cool way to have like a commemorative item and then get those signed, and then it just feels cool. Like it's just neat to collect them and then have them, and it's just one of those weird little things where you don't think anything of it until it happens, and you're like, man, this is dope. It feels so official. This feels like, these are our professional sports players that, are here in the city. And now we have these commemorative items. So I'm super psyched that we got these. And it kind of sounds like we're getting more. I don't know. They've been kind of cryptic about it, but it sounds like there's going to be more. I hope we do the whole team. That's my hope.
That'd be
Anyway,
awesome.
I want every single one of them. Got to collect them all. I have to.
Like Pokemon.
Yes, exactly. Like I will need them, every single one. But now let's get into some talk about the game. Okay. Because I could talk about how cool these cards are all night. This game that we were going into, we were going up against the number 1 team in the table at the time, no longer, but at the time they were holding down the top spot, Dallas Trinity. And I don't know about you all, but I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because our last few meetings with them were not amazing. Especially like that 6-2 win they got on us way back last year when we went and visited them. I remember watching that in real time, and it was just like watching a train wreck. You couldn't look away because we're sickos, but at the same time, it was a twist to the knife every time they scored, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Please make this stop. And so you kind of get that little like feeling in your gut, like, okay, this is kind of scary. Last year, this didn't go so hot. What's going to happen this year? Because they're at the top of the table again. We're doing really good though. So who's going to come out of this looking good? Man, we answered that question. So our lineup that we had, it's our standard lineup, right? It's kind of nice that we don't play like this weird like puzzle every week of who might be in the lineup. We've got a really nice consistent lineup, and I think that that's getting us into a space where we are true contenders. I mean, of course, it's okay to tweak. It's always okay to tweak, and like week by week, you might have to swap somebody out, but it is really cool to see that we have like our starting 11. Like there is a firm starting 11 that we can count on, will most likely be deployed. And when they're out there together, you feel like the chemistry is getting better and better and better. So in this matchup, in our heart of hearts, like what did I say? I think at the end of like the last episode, did I say we were going to do like a 2-0? Drop a 2-0 on them or something like that?
I think you were
that's
thinking
what
3. I think you said
maybe
3.
That's what it was.
I said
maybe
2-0. You said 3.
Yeah.
There we go. Maybe I was like in my heart thinking a million.
I said 2-0, but if Cat Berry switched from black to different color cleats, we would get 3-0. That's what happened.
That's what it was. You're right. And like we get there and the vibes feel good. Everything feels good about this game. And then we start taking off. And I just don't know you all. Like we bullied Dallas.
Yeah,
I feel like we absolutely bullied them.
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
It, like having a Lexington Sporting Club team bully another team is not really a common thing. It's not been a common thread over the existence of this club. We might have a one-off game where like, all right, yeah, we were pretty in control. Yeah, we did pretty good. But I feel like we've been doing a lot of that with the women's team, even in our like draws. Like even in some of our draws that we've had, I feel like we were really dominant. And for whatever reason, we just could not make the goals produce to show that dominance. And this is that match where we saw previously in our post-match interview with them on the game just before this, everybody was saying, man, we just need to shoot the ball. Like we need to quit playing around with it. We need to shoot the ball. We need to take some chances. We need to shoot the ball. Everybody said it. In this match, everybody was ready to let it rip.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was my favorite thing ever that Sarah Griffith said that they were letting it rip, because I'm like, yes. I don't know what it is about that phrase. It just, whenever one of our players is like taking one of those crazy shots, you got to yell it. And maybe it's just because I've got brain rot from playing Beyblade with my son consistently, because that's all he wants to do is make me play Beyblades with him over and over and over again. And he has to scream, let it rip. But then I'm like, you know what? What a guttural thing to scream whenever your player is about to take a shot. And then they get that goal. And then you're like, you did. You let it rip. Okay, so this game, obviously wildly impressive for us. What kind of stood out to you guys from this match? It could be goals or anything else in between.
I think everything just started to click really well for us. Something just like happened and everything just turned on for us and things were working our way. I think there's a lot of really, really good individual players who really, really stood out and put in a lot of effort. I mean, obviously, Kat scored 2 goals, so like phenomenal effort. And
second brace of the season.
Second brace of the season.
Yeah.
The league leader in goals right now. And I think she's able to get more of those in a game too. Like, it's kind of, she's had 2 braces. So now we're kind of getting spoiled. Like, oh, she just should get a hat trick already,
Right.
But I'm just glad to see that she is a consistent player, for us. And she's always trying. And I believe like with her on the field that she is going to score.
Yeah.
I think she brings a level of confidence to our team, which is really, really nice to have that kind of player. She's really versatile. She's not just like a striker who's going to stand there in the box. She will move out to the wide spaces. If Amina's making a run, you're going to see Kat make a run too. And, be opposite of her, or opposite of Addie, they're all playing each other very, very well too. The chemistry is just starting to like build specifically. And like that trio too, that like trio is just like so deadly. They're going to be putting up all the numbers in the league, those 3 players, and not to mention the like quality role players that we have on the team. Like, Taylor Almer is just so good. She doesn't get enough credit, for just the things she does. I mentioned it before, but she's like fairy for us. Like, she just cleans things up and kind of is that, water carrier for the team. Good leader on the field. Our defensive line is so stout. Multiple games where we're just like, obviously we conceded a goal in this one, but it was 6-1, so the margin is pretty huge. So it kind of feels like we didn't even let one in, at that point. The one we did let in was bad. Like, it was bad coverage on our defense. It was the left side. And goalkeeping kind of came out a little too far. Maybe if we stayed in a little bit, we could have blocked that. But that's nitpicking on a great win. The defensive line is just incredible. Hannah Schartz, probably one of the most like surprising players to me. Like, really, really quality in the air, being able to come back and make runs when, make those recovery runs too. She's really, really fast. And Pantuzo's just super solid as well. I can't say enough about like the defense, and it's just so nice to have a good squad comparatively to like last year, whereas like the defense, like we're not helping our goalkeepers at all. Like it almost feels like our goalkeeper doesn't need to make that many saves in a game because our defensive line is just picking up so many balls for us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Those are good shouts. And, you really do see an uptick in our defensive quality this year. It's night and day, frankly. And I would say even not necessarily just the back line. It's like the whole team. Everybody's doing really good about having two-way play, and making sure that they're shoring up any of those little seams that, other teams are trying to exploit. Everybody's got really good communication. And I think it's awesome to see that happening for us because it wasn't that long ago where we were pretty much that team where everybody's like, all right, we can probably score a hattie on them. Like it's almost a guarantee. And now we're pretty stingy with goals at this point. Like it's not easy to score on us at all by any measure. And it's really, really nice to see us flip the script because I mean, even still you hear commentators regularly be like, Lexington used to let in goals every day. And it's like, yeah, but this is a brand new season. This is worlds apart from where we were. And you can feel it. And I feel like now is the time where people have to start believing that. I think that, of course, things can change. I mean, think about the men's team. We had that horrendous run and then things changed pretty drastically. And then we started doing good. So it can be the opposite. But I just feel like this team has the right momentum, the right mentality, and everything's just gelling so good.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, like what was kind of your thing with this match?
Yeah.
Man, that was good.
So initial thoughts just on the season so far in general. I know we're so early on in the season, but it really is such a breath of fresh air to be where the position we're in, still unbeaten, and having the last two games not scoring any goals to scoring 6 goals is just super exciting. And yeah, the win against Dallas and the way we won against them just felt so good. And I think one of the I feel like something that kind of a player that comes to mind for me and that I feel like had really good like pivotal plays was Hannah White. I know she came in towards the end, but she had one really like good toe tap to Addie that allowed her to score. And then the corner where Shea scored.
She was the dummy.
Yeah. So I think
the jump up.
Yeah, the role that she played in the couple plays that she had that made it to where it helped us increase the score by 2, I think is definitely something to point out and recognize it, just because I think even in the short time that she played, she made a really big impact. And so, easy to focus on who scored the goals and who did this and that. But I think those were a couple moments that stuck out to me with Hannah.
You can tell from this season compared to last season how much she's already improved.
Yeah.
She's already like provided way more quality in the minutes she's provided in this season than, comparatively to last season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And on that corner too, Shea was the one who she recognized it and she told Hannah to move. She was like, "Hey, I got this."
Yeah.
And so that was really cool.
Well, and in that same sense too, like just kind of touching back on how much this team is gelling and really coming together. Like it takes a lot of trust in your teammate to be like, okay, they say they've got this.
Yeah.
I'm going to let them get it, versus kind of being a little more selfish and trying to get the goal for themselves. So I think the really selfless act in that sense, and the trust in the teammates that I think just that they've been able to build on so far has been really fun to watch.
Yeah, that was something that really stuck out to me. I'm like, man, to just trust. She didn't even like look. She was just like, okay, I'm gonna hop over this now. And then whatever happens, like I'm trusting that this is gonna go down the way it's supposed to. And
Yeah,
that's what you want out of your team. That's such a good point to make. And I think that just really highlights where we are.
and
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to add too, like this was one of those games where you could see all the things coming together. I feel like there's a lot of games where you're like, oh, that had so much potential, like certain plays and stuff, and it's just kind of like, oh, you're just left wanting more. And this one's like, I feel like this game you could see all the pieces coming together, and they just came together perfectly every time. You're like, oh, yep. They're gonna pass there, or she's gonna cross there, she's gonna shoot, and there's another goal. So it was just really cool to watch in that sense.
Yeah, it was basically like anything we wanted we could have, and like everything was working our way, and it was nice, and we like made things happen from different ways, which was really special too. Like we got set piece goals, we got goals in open play, multiple people got goals, like like a sub got a goal, like it's just all around great victory. It just goes to show you how good this team is. Like this team's good.
Yeah, real deal. And I just can't get over all these things that happened in that match. It just felt surreal. You know what I mean? It just kind of threw me off because, whenever we get our 2 goals and then Dallas gets one back and like their bench is cheering and going crazy. And I'm like, oh man, they're energized. Like let's not let off the gas because again, in the history of LSC, we do like to let off the gas once we're up a couple of goals, and not this time. Like not Coach Mac's team. Like they heard them cheering and they're like, no. I don't think this is going to go the way that you expect it to go. And there was a part of me that felt a little devious, a little evil whenever we started scoring again. And I was cheering extra loud because I was like, no, you're not going to celebrate that hard in our stadium, because there was a bit of a chip on my shoulder with that 6-2 match from last year. And I know different world, different teams, sure, but it still felt good because at the end of the day, there's always that storyline that the league pushes or anybody else pushes where it's like, last time these clubs faced, LSC got trounced. And I'm like, what now? Like this is our statement win for the moment. And I think we're going to have more. I don't think this is like the definitive win of the season. I think this is just one of many that are going to be memorable. And you guys already pointed it out. So many people getting involved. One thing that was really cool for me was seeing Addie McCain get on the score sheet, because I feel like, obviously she was a juggernaut with goal scoring last year. And then with us, it's almost like she took on more of a supporting role, which like, I don't think it's because she was incapable of scoring goals. I just think it was more of like, this is what we're asking you to do to set things up and make things happen. And then you saw this time they're like, no, I'll just do it. You get in that too, and let's kind of get some rotation. And then you see a shot, you take it, and she ends up getting a brace out of it. And this is the game where you notice that she was more freed up to take those chances, which I think was great. And then seeing, players consistently sit in assists, like Sarah Griffith, she had 2 assists. Taddy Fung, she had 2 assists. And so seeing these players produce those types of assists and moments that can help their teammates get on the score sheet, that was pivotal. And it's one of those matches that makes you feel like it wasn't a fluke. Somebody, we even had a question. I'll kind of like spoil this. Somebody had even asked like, hey, which win was more like, how do they phrase it? Impressive. Yeah, I think they said impressive or better. The 7-1 win that we had last year for the men's team versus Central Valley, or this 6-1 over Dallas. And I don't know about you guys, I'm going 6-1 over Dallas all day.
Yeah, because Fuego was not a good team. We just like beat up.
Bag.
Yeah, and Dallas is a good team. They have quality players for sure. And like this was just like a clean win too. Like, like I already mentioned it. Like we just won in every way. Like all facets of the game. Set piece goals, open play goals, multiple people doing different things. Like so. it's just a total annihilation of a team compared to, and like a quality opponent. And too, like there were moments in the beginning where it was like a little tight, and Tyler, like you said, they get the goal back, and we're like, whoa, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But with Fuego, it was just like, we knew we were going to win that game going in. In this game, we didn't know for sure. I felt confident, but I didn't feel as confident as I did against Fuego.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't know. It just, and it didn't feel flukish. The one against Central Valley felt like a fluke. It felt like, man, something's in the water tonight, and we're just feeling ourselves against this team that's not good. And then this Dallas one, it was like, no, this is who we really are. Like we like pulled off the Scooby-Doo villain mask, and they're like, oh no, Lexington Sporting Club that can score goals, and knew it was you the whole time. And, and it feels like I said this once before. I don't think this is necessarily pointing to the fact that we're going to beat several teams 6-1 this year, but I do think it's pointing to we are going to be a team that's going to be a struggle for other teams to find footing against. And when you start looking at the table too, like right now, currently Fort Lauderdale is top of the table. They got 11 points. We have 9. They got 3 wins, 2 draws. Of course, we had a draw to open the season against them, that 3-3 one. I feel good. I don't feel like Fort Lauderdale is scarier than we are. I feel like that was us trying to just kind of gel. And of course, they were probably too a little bit. But I mean, even if you look at things like goal differential, we're beating them in goal differential now. I feel like we've got so many people that are getting involved in just the right ways. Like, I'm ready for that rematch to see what happens.
For sure. I got pretty mad today
because
I like thought they posted the standings, and it's just based on points, and I thought it was their like power rankings, because it's all like the same branding and stuff. So but like I have a chip on my shoulder, I guess, for being a Lexington fan, that we don't get enough love and everything. So I just assumed that they were talking smack against us. So I was just pretty mad to see that what we were, but it's just facts. And then I realized I was like, man, I was just being silly. I got pretty mad.
Did someone aren't those the standings?
Yeah, they were the standings.
Dylan's like, oh yeah, you're right. I know. Hey, but I don't hate it though, because I see what you're saying. Like a lot of times we get kind of we get screwed over in those power rankings, but I personally feel like we should be number 1 in the power rankings this week.
That was my point too.
Yeah, and by the time you're listening to this, it probably will have come out. And if we're not number 1, there's something a little whack going on, because we took on the number 1 team in the league at the time, and we beat them 6-1. So we should be number
senseless.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was a masterclass win. And we talked about people that really like shown in this too. And I know I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but I can't leave without saying, Kat Asman had some pretty good saves that kept us in a really nice position in that one as well. And it's real easy to kind of lose track of that whenever you're dropping buckets of goals. But there were a couple of quality chances Dallas had on us. She kept us in the game big time.
Yeah, I think they had 9 shots, and 4 on target. So
yeah,
we had 23.
Yes, and 8 on target, right?
Yep.
And just to kind of give people an idea, we talked about like how last match everybody was like, man, we're just not taking shots. I think we had 11 shots total for the game against Spokane, and then 3 on target. So we more than doubled our shots taken and more than doubled our shots on target. And you love to see it. We have so much talent on this team. Just let it rip. Just go,
And it was nice because like we asked them about that last game. We were like, hey, like what happened there? And coach was like, we weren't aggressive enough. We weren't taking shots.
Yeah.
And then for them to come out and like, that was like the main thing they addressed. That was like, hey, they went in last week and they're like, listen, what did we not do last week? Take shots. All right, we're going to take shots this week.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And, it was really cool to see them say that afterwards too. Oh, well, we looked at, everything from last game. We didn't score, we had draws and everything. And, now we got to score. So here we are.
I think that's one thing that has really been a lot of fun to watch this season is I think we already know last season there was just a lot going on, and I feel like they were dealt so many crappy hands throughout the season. There was no consistency, no clear vision, which, makes it really hard to come together and, get results when everything is just up in the air, and things seem kind of aimless. Whereas this season, it's really clear, like, okay, this is our vision, this is our goal, and everybody's on board. And to go we were commenting on the last two games, not scoring any goals, and then whatever they did just unlocked.
Yeah.
It just opened the floodgates, and it's like, all right, and let's make it happen. So it's just been so much fun. Such, like I mentioned earlier, such a breath of fresh air for this season so far. Just a complete 180. And I know, with the roster changes and stuff like that, I feel like that definitely plays a part. We have a lot of new players and stuff like that, but still, it's so nice for it to not be like, oh, here we go again,
Yeah. You're 100% right. And it's just, I don't know. It's just so cool to be on the other side, and even seeing it's kind of a bummer for them, but whatever. Dallas's coach getting that red card because he was freaking out about them losing. And it's like, buddy, like, you guys are too deep in the hole. I don't know if I'd be taking a red card at this moment and, saying some choice words to the ref that should not have said. And then
that's just sort of loser behavior,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. That's one of those things where, like, if my wife knew I acted like that, she would be embarrassed of me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and the things, the things that was said.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. For me, there's like this weird gratefulness that we have experienced such low lows that we would never, we're just like, what I mean? We've been there and we've been through the trenches and the muck and the mire. And then we come out and we're just like, all right, on to the next one. It is what it is. And, what a privileged life you must be living to be that mad about a loss. You know what I mean? Whereas we've been through that and then some, and we're just like, all right, on to the next one. Come on, you greens. And, just go from there. But I just can't get over it, and thinking about key players, we talked about how so many people have made an impact. I mean, I don't think there was a single person on that pitch that wasn't just clicking and contributing to the best of their ability. And we saw that big time. We did have a couple questions specifically about Kat, and this is like a little early to guess, but you know what? Who cares? Let's just do it anyway. So Paul had asked us, Kat Berry, she need to change from those black boots that Dylan mentioned to gold boots.
Isn't it like what a coincidence that, like, I said something and then she changed her cleats and then she scored 2 goals. I mean, like, and
you're a magician.
And then we got to the game and they started, and when she came out on the field, I was like, hey, she changed her cleats. I'm feeling pretty optimistic. And she looked very fast. She looked super fast. So
manifested it.
I'm just saying.
But, like, for real though, like, do we think she's got the stuff to get the golden boot? Like last year, we had Maddie Parsons in line for golden boot until mysteriously they just stopped playing her and derailed that. Kat Berry seems like she's got a lot of belief from the club. They extended her contract already, and it seems like she's not slowing down anytime soon. It's very, very early to guess this, but if we continue to fire on all cylinders, she getting the golden boot, or do we have too many people at the table feasting because we have so many great goal scorer options?
I think she can definitely do it. Like, I do believe she is capable of it. I think it's like, if we're consistent in this, like, lineup and, the amount of time she gets on the field and the like consistency of play like this, then yes, I definitely agree. There may be some games where she's quiet and like some other people have to step up, but like I think she's definitely capable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's like the beauty too of like her being so dangerous and us having so many dangerous people, because like one of my biggest problems is like, I mean, it's really nice when you have a team where you have like the person that scores, you know what I mean? The person but I feel like we have the person that scores plus some. And so how do you adjust to that as an opponent? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, everybody watch out. Cat Berry's going to crash the box. But then here you have Amina, and then she hits you with a left footer. And then what are you going to do about it? But then here you have Addie McCain who comes in and then hits you with something. And then you have Griffith. And then it's like, what the heck? And then they have to rotate out. And then all of a sudden Cat Berry's super dangerous again. And then Cat Berry's scoring goals again. So it's like, I agree with you. I think Cat Berry has what it takes to be our Golden Boot winner for the league. I think that's entirely possible. And I think it's because of all the talent that we have where people just can't focus on shutting her down. Like it's impossible. You're not allowed to do that with us because there's too much danger elsewhere. If you're sitting there focusing on double teaming Cat Berry, anybody else could step up. And then what are you going to do now? So I think that us assembling a team with so much talent is just really going to skyrocket everybody into new heights as individuals. And then of course, as a team because of that. So I think Golden Boots are definitely in the future.
Well, and there was a question in the Discord about why they keep pulling Barry out before she can get a hat trick. And when do we think she'll get it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know, but there are definitely times
So
they'll sub her out. I know they'll sub her out, and we're like, she's already got two.
I know. Yeah.
And wait.
But it reminds me of like. You remember when like Hannah Richardson almost had a Hattie last season?
Yeah.
Everybody groaned whenever she got subbed out because they were like, "Oh, she's so close." I feel like that's happened both games that Cat Berry's had a brace. She would get so close, and then we're like, "Ugh." But I get it. I also get it. You know what I mean? Especially if we're up that much, you don't want to have somebody because like sometimes as a player, like I feel like you can get in this like mode where you smell blood in the water and you can't stop yourself from just going full force. And maybe sometimes you go a little too ham, and then you don't want to end up injuring yourself or having something else happen that takes you out of the future games. So I'm bummed that we haven't left Cat in long enough to get a Hattie, but I also, at least this might be the reason, I don't know, but I can respect it if that is the reason to be like, whoa, you did your duty. You did what you're supposed to do. Come out, get some rest. Like you earned it. Save all those extra goals that you're, developing a hunger for until later. Let's let some other people kind of take over for now. You rest your legs. So I kind of respect what we're going with if that is the thought.
It's kind of similar to, when we were in League One the first season where like Artez was kind of like the main scorer, but you also had Nico who could score and Tate, and then you sub on Khalid and he'll get a goal too, so like there are, we can have a main scorer like Cat Berry, but there's also Addie McCain, there's also Mackenzie Weiner, and there's also Amina Ekic, and you can sub on Shea Moyer and she's going to get a goal, so like any way you want it, you can get it.
Yeah. And I can see it from a strategy point as well, where it's like, okay, where it changes it up, and then the defensive players might get used to her, how she does things, and then so bringing in Hannah White, and Hannah does things a little differently, and so now they're like, oh wait, now they're having to change things up too. So I don't know, but I could definitely see like, okay, you've helped us get ahead. Let's let's not risk anything.
Yeah.
You mentioned like Mackenzie too. Like if we get Weiner back, gosh, our options are just they're truly insane. Like, and I feel like we have such depth, and there are a lot of players that I still am waiting to see there are players that I'm excited. I'm like, man, like I kind of want to see what this player has to offer, or this player, and I don't want it to be because of bad reasons, right? I don't want to wish too hard, and then the universe be like, okay, well, guess what? It's injuries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it is cool to think like, man, the players we've seen so far have proven we've got some depth. So I wonder what we even have waiting in the chamber. It's so cool to see us operating at the high level that we're operating at. I think, we're going to go to Spokane this weekend, and I think we're going to handle business. They're feeling themselves a little bit because of their recent result, but I just, again, one of those teams where, and I'm sure this is because of Amina, but they had such a huge following come to our stadium last year. Every time, like each time they visited, there would just be 50 people all in Spokane gear, and I'm like, what the heck? What is this? So, part of
I'd
me is
have to
just like,
heckle their
now,
kids too.
yeah, I know, and they're elderly.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to understand like they're not getting this back. The team even did like some post because we did our post as a team about like Amina breaking everybody's ankles in the game against Spokane, and then Spokane was like small price to pay for revenge, and then they did like their little cut of 3 plays where they held onto the ball for 5 seconds, and I'm like, whoa, that was a
Good,
sick comeback.
good job.
You got us
You
there.
got us.
Cool,
Man.
bro.
Yeah, so I really want to see us handle business there. I think that'll be real sweet to kind of sweep that issue under the rug and move on with our lives.
Well, and what
yeah,
I was going to add, like when we played them, it felt, even though it was a draw, it felt like a loss because we had so many good opportunities, and even the women were like, man, yeah, we should have had that, and so I think it'll be nice being back so soon, like playing them again so soon, to kind of try and get that result that we were hoping for the first time.
100%. We're gonna do it though. It'll be totally fine. We got this. It's a lock. So, we ready to like move over to championship?
I wanted to
You
say
got
something real
something?
quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if the girls are listening, when you score at home, it would be fun if you came over to like fan sections and stuff sometimes too, because I know that like, you scored 6 goals and like every time they celebrated, it was mostly like them going towards each other, which is, great. You guys want to score for each other. You're playing as a team. I'm not faulting you for that. You can definitely do that, but it would be fun to see some cool celebrations and see some personality and maybe interaction with the fans sometimes. I don't know. It would just be cool. That's all I ask.
I want the club to start taking celebration requests from fans. You can submit sellies, and then the teams have to do one of the sellies that's submitted. How fun would that be? That would be so dope. That'd be so dope. I wish if anybody from the club is listening, please do that. Take celebration requests and then ask the players like, hey, if you score, this is the one we drew this week. Will you do this celebration? Even if it's just like one a week or something. Oh, that would be so sick. But yeah, I agree, Dylan. That'd be cool if they celebrate in front of like the Railbird section after a goal together. They can even still celebrate together.
Yes.
And just be in front of that because that is really neat. It's like one of my like fondest memories was like last season whenever Nico Brown scored a knee. You like ran up and we like bro-fived over the railing, and that was super cool. But yeah, all right, let's transition. This is my transition noise, and these are my transition wave hands. Okay, men's game, not quite as endorphin inducing, but there are some positives to be said for this. Before we get into the match, Jessica, I think you have written down our predictions that we did for a stretch of matches, right? Because we were thinking like, all right, with this like upcoming set of opponents, what are we going to end up with? So what did we guess and where are we at? Can you hit us with that?
So Tyler, you predicted 8 from points. Orange County to Tulsa.
Okay.
Dylan predicted 7. I predicted 5. We are currently at 4 with 1 game left. So Tyler's officially out of the running.
Yeah.
So either we win and Dylan wins, or we tie, and I win. But actually, Kyle wasn't with us to make predictions for the first 2 games, but he predicted that we draw against Tulsa, and Tyler predicted we draw against Tulsa. Dylan and I both predicted a loss. So let's hope that Dylan and I are wrong.
Let's hope. I think I found out what happened because last time we did like a stretch of predictions, I wasn't optimistic enough, and then we overperformed. And this time I was too optimistic, and we're underperforming. So now I need to be like, get into character. I'm Sweet Arrow, and we're gonna lose. That
was pretty accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna win. Wait. I messed it up. We're gonna lose. There we go. All right. Don't let me say we're gonna win. Stop me if I start to say it and Tyler starts to slip out. But no, like that man, this New Mexico game, I thought we might have. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Their last match they were in, they looked pretty in form right before playing us, and I know they had a short week, and I think everybody was hoping like, okay, short week, maybe we'll get them. And with us, we know we have players that are missing, pieces that are missing, and have been for several weeks. And you start sitting there like holding your breath, like, okay, will somebody be back? Are we going to get Adedican back? Are we going to get Burks back? Are we going to get Sophie back? Or like, who are we going to get back this week, if anybody at all? Because as we're getting closer to crunch time, I mean, really not closer, we're in crunch time. We're creeping up on the playoffs, and the lines are very blurred between who's going to make it and who's not. And every week we go by without our key pieces is kind of a little bit of a scary week. You hold your breath some, and you just wish upon every star you can find that everybody's going to get healthy again. And it just seems like it's not happening as quick as we want. Now, that being said, we've had some good performances. I mean, we just beat Detroit City with a lot of these same people out that I listed, and it was great. We managed to get that win going into New Mexico, higher end challenge than Detroit City. Not that Detroit is a bunch of slouches. They're good. But New Mexico just seems to be getting that second breath, and now they're doing something about it. And with this one, seeing what we were going to do there was kind of key to thinking like, all right, can we make it through this final stretch to the playoffs without our key pieces? And even if we do, how are we going to do it in the playoffs if we're still missing those key pieces? Those questions were floating around in my mind, and they're still a little bit there. This match, I don't know if you could say we've had a worst first half of soccer this season. I mean, I don't know, have we? You could say there have been worse games, but I don't know if we've had like a worse first half that I can recall. Am I missing something, or does that sound pretty accurate?
That sounds pretty accurate. I mean, if you were to look back at the stats and, quote us, there may be, but like vibes wise, it was pretty all-time low.
Right. I mean, going down 2 goals almost immediately into the match, in the ways that those happen, just sucked. And then getting a red card on top of it. I mean, that first goal, their guy was completely unmarked. Like, I got to look up. I can't even remember who it was.
Our right side was just abysmal in the first half. Like the wings, our right side specifically was getting burned like crazy, but then like both on the outsides were just not holding up.
Yeah, both outside areas. So what was it? Lindsay that burned us, popped back there, got a ball, popped over the top, over the line, right to him, and then Ketterer thinks he's going to shoot, and then he sends it right back over to Vargas, who shoots and scores. And like nobody was even paying attention to Lindsay, like nobody at all. Nobody. Everybody was ball watching, and he just like snuck back there, and his run was timed perfectly. No way it was offside. It was really, really smart play, and we just were not ready for it. And when you have that happen, you pretty much have 2 ways you can respond. You can stay frazzled and have a meltdown, or you can recompose and say, okay, get this right. Let's figure it out. And we did not. We did not figure it out. We stayed frazzled, and we end up having a PK against us, which, with Gael, he goes in to try and make that tackle. But I don't even know that it was truly a tackle. I think he was stepping to the ball, and then he thought the player was going to kick it with his right foot, and so he tried to stick out his left foot to intercept it in the air. And then you see his right foot skid a little bit because of his momentum, because where he's kind of like running into him, and then he slides and then slams into the player, and then it's a PK. And I could be wrong, but me watching it like 14 times in a row, being like, what exactly happened? Why did he do that? Why would you ever try and do a slide tackle right there? And I don't think it was actually meant to be a slide tackle. I think it was truly Gael was trying to readjust his body. And the reason why I think that more and more as I watch it is watching the rest of the game, there were so many times where players just slipped. I know they put out a tarp, but I think the pitch was way too wet. Like Joe Hafferty, there was one point in the game where he was in the box and he tries to cut back to make a run back up towards the top of the box to cover a guy. And he like cartoon falls. His feet just fly out from underneath him and he like about hits his head on the pitch. Like because their cleats were just not grabbing. I think who else had another weird slip? Maybe I'm making this up, but I feel like it was like Latif, maybe. I think I saw him have like a weird slip, or maybe I'm thinking somebody else, but it just seemed like there was a lot of like Looney Tunes stuff going on with the grass pitch out there, at least for us.
Yeah, in that instance, it didn't really look too malicious from Gael. It really just
Yeah.
looked like a misstep or something. I think in
Yes.
terms of like PK calls, that was like a really like on the softer side. And I didn't look at it. I didn't go back like you did, Tyler, and you said you looked at it multiple times. But for me, it didn't really look like it was in the box too. It kind of looked like it was outside. I don't,
It was like right. It was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of deal. It was kind of
but
wonky.
yeah, like I said, in terms of PK calls, I think it was pretty soft.
Yeah, I would agree.
Similar to the red.
Yeah, that red. I don't know.
I don't know what happened there. It's really hard to say.
Well, and I know like the commentators were kind of saying dogso, but the New Mexico player didn't have possession. It was like they were both going for it 50-50. So, and Wu touched it's not like he didn't make contact with the New Mexico player first. He made first contact with the ball, and then New Mexico guy fell. So, I don't know. I don't really feel like
that was my deciding factor is like if you watch it slow down, you see Daniel Wu's foot hit the ball, and it's more of like his foot pushing the ball into the player that creates like the main force of the contact than anything from the slow down version. I just don't think there was like ill intent behind it. I feel like he was going all ball. I feel like he got a foot on the ball. Sure, if you want to give a foul, great. Totally understand. Even if you want to give a yellow, all right, I can deal with that a little bit. I think red was a little harsh for that call.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, I definitely don't know if red was the right call at all. Yellow maybe. I think from where both the lino and the ref were on the field, it was probably pretty hard to see. And that was ultimately what led to the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because like, if you're the lino, you see Wu coming in from one side towards you, and he's putting his foot out, and you may like he probably didn't see that Wu hit the ball. He just sees that the ball moves forward, off of the attacker's foot. So he didn't see that. And then, the ref is behind them. So he only sees from behind, he sees a collision happens. So it was probably just like an error just based on vision, really.
Yeah, that's fair. And it just, that whole first half just felt like New Mexico was working us over. They were being so creative, so fierce, just attack. And you mentioned, Dylan, like our outsides were just getting battered. And, like Kieran was going through it. Like, I feel like he was having
he had
a
bad
rough time because they
game.
were just attacking him over and over and over again. Like,
he looked hurt at
Akale,
one point too.
Right. And Akale is somebody he was having to battle routinely. And Akale is a very good player. And I just feel like they were just really, really putting it to us. And we were struggling to find our footing and be who we were supposed to be. Even whenever like the quotes were released, Marcus Epps even mentioned it. He's like, once we realized to play our style and play who we are, then everything changed. But the problem is we didn't decide to play who we are until after we went down to
that
10
was way
men
too late.
and after halftime.
Yes.
Once halftime is there, and then we're, like, okay, let's do it. And again, we've talked about this before. Sometimes it's hard to execute our style depending on who's available, which we've also said before, that's kind of problematic, because if you're going to build the team with a style, then everybody on that team should be able to play within that style. You shouldn't have to all of a sudden be like, we need to kind of back off a little bit or do this. It should be fast and furious. That's our team. That's when we always find success. And when we were putting the pedal to the metal in the second half, that all changed. And of course it helps you bring on Green, and Green helps defensively, and he can get into the attack if you need him to, which is really, really great to see. We saw Latif for the first time. Finally, we've been waiting 84 years, and his stuff was in order, and he's in the mix later in the second half. And so we have these players popping on, and they're making an impact. Xavier Zingue, for instance, we haven't seen as much of him here lately, and he's back. And we were holding them off. So while the first half was abysmal, props to the team for getting it together in the second half, and we didn't let them score another goal. And we even got one of our own. Like that Marcus Epps goal was pretty nasty. That was a nasty goal. Like taking it off his left foot and then popping it back over to his right and just sending it up in that top corner. I mean, no wonder he's up for goal of the week. That was a very good goal. That was one of those veteran goals where it's like, watch this. Watch this. He listened to Dylan last episode. Dylan's always talking about manifesting things. He manifested that Marcus Epps goal because Marcus Epps was like, oh, yeah, Dylan Sweeney. No, but like, seriously, it was great to see that from him, because we did talk about how he's been a little bit quiet here lately, and he's played a little bit more of like that stability role. He's there as a stable factor. He's good. He's productive in the ways he needs to be as a leader on the field. But it was cool to see him get in the mix in that type of capacity and show like, no, I'm still here. So that goal, it was really, really important. We might have still lost, but that was the type of goal that brings you back a little bit of hope, even through a loss, to say, okay, that was horrible. And we adjusted to get a shutout in the second half, to bring one goal back. We stayed fighting. We were trying to get another goal. We had great opportunities. There were so many opportunities that we were just like firing on all cylinders. Like that one where Latif sent across
and then again send it across too.
Yes, and like Ajago, he got held up by that defender, which was good defensive play by that defender, because if Ajago had been able to muscle him out of the way, that's a goal all day. And and you love to see the hustle too, because like Latif, he impressed me. Like we can kind of get into more about him, but he impressed me because whenever Medin sends it back across and it doesn't find Ajago, he tries to get a hold of it. But then again, I remembered this. He slipped. So I remembered at some point he slipped, because that pitch is wild, and it's the same box, that same half of the field.
Yeah,
we had
true.
At least 3 slips around that box. But it was great to see him at least be like, I'm going for this. So this match was not great holistically. It was very much like Tale of Two Halves, though. And as we're kind of moving forward, we got more tough competition. We're not going to end up having a lot of breaks in this last little stretch.
Yeah.
Do you come away from this loss feeling like, man, we are not who I hoped we would be? Or do you feel like, okay, that was a rough one, but I still feel like we've got a track record that's good enough to say, like, we can still kind of keep those results coming, especially as we go against Tulsa?
I'm kind of in the middle, like, of those, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's like total despair, but I don't think it's great. You know what I mean?
Right.
So where I'm at is like, this game, 2 things can be true, right? The ref sucked. There were a lot of, weird calls, a lot of ticky-tack fouls and stuff. Things weren't going our way. But it also is true that we shot ourselves in the foot and we didn't do ourselves any favor, right?
Right.
The PK, I felt like could have been saved. Logan did make the right decision, but like too late. And like, I don't know. I just feel like he hasn't been good on PKs this year, so I felt very, poor going into that. I'm like, well, this is just a goal for them. Like I kind of just already wrote them off. So I feel like that's already putting us down. And then we waited way too long to make changes. Like we mentioned, Blessing was like a real bright moment for us, right? And Medence, he's really creative, and creative things were happening when he was on the field. But we waited way too long to like get that going, and that's like a self-inflicted wound. That's coaching, to not put us in those positions to win is just a failure. Like we could have made those subs earlier. We were texting and we were like, why not just, we're in the hole, we're down, like why don't we just say F it, we ball, and try. I don't get it.
The whole approach to the remainder of the first half felt like triage. You know what I mean? It's like get a little bit of a couple Band-Aids on this and let's just hold on until we can get to the real doctor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And halftime was the real doctor, but it's just kind of a bummer that we couldn't adjust on the fly quick enough to buy ourselves the amount of time, because something Coach Boss mentioned whenever he did his, little interview blurb that we posted was like, man, if we had just been able to hold on to that momentum at the end of the game, whenever they stopped it for that delay. But it's like, man, if we'd maybe just kind of found that momentum before halftime and then had at least a little bit of a chunk of halftime, or excuse me, the first half to work with, and then you come back in second half and do that same thing, maybe that's where we find our extra time. Because I understand the thought process behind you're having an abysmal start. You have 2 goals that are scored on you like back to back right out of the gate. You have a red card. So then you really do kind of need to approach the game as in like, okay, let's settle down first and figure things out before we go crazy. But I just kind of wish we could have settled down quicker so that way we could have flipped the switch and then made it happen. I'm really impressed. I'm proud of the team for doing what they did in the second half. Don't get me wrong. That was phenomenal. And it is hard to do because unfortunately in soccer, you don't get a bunch of timeouts. You know what I mean? You can't just sit there and be like, well, let's talk about this for 30 seconds. And then, oh, wait, it's a commercial break timeout. Let's talk about it again. And, you don't have that luxury. But I just hope that we take this lesson into the next match because it's going to be tough. Arguably, could be our toughest match that we've had in quite some time.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to be rolling with our people that we've come to rely on that have been out because of injury and whatnot, it might get dicey. And, honestly, in this one, I would like to see a little bit more Blessing. I think that if anything, if he's going to be a sub, a little bit earlier. I know you got to get him match fit, match ready, kind of ease him into the whole process. He's just now back in the mix. But I'd like to see a little bit more of that because I think the sooner we can make those swaps with dangerous players and get them in there and kind of put the enemy on the back foot, the better off we're going to be. But we got a big time test here. Mm-hmm. And it does kind of like start to get to you a little bit where you're like, man, if we'd gotten this win against New Mexico, all right, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling like we can do this. But I think this is one of those matches where you maybe miss those players that we're missing a little bit more.
Well, and I think, and it could be roster, how we set up our starting 11 and whatnot, but I think one thing that always gives me a little hesitation, like with the women, it's like, yeah, we've got our roster is really solid, and their identity is it's starting to become pretty like set. But for the men, I feel like there have been so many games where we think it's a sure thing, and then we just choke. I don't even like Las Vegas was, and then the game this past week. I feel like it's hard to be sure. Where it's like, I know we've got that potential, but the consistency for the performance hasn't always been there. Where it's like I'm always a little surprised with how we perform at times when I know we have the potential to be so much better. And so, yeah, I feel like it makes it harder for me when we're trying to make predictions where it's like, I don't know, how are they going to feel like playing that day? Like,
right,
are they going to have it together, or is it going to be a little, all over the place? So, it does make me a little nervous. And I think that's also why when it comes to predictions for playoffs and stuff, where it's like I'm cautiously optimistic because, yeah, we could have an amazing game and, you know, beat Tulsa and all these other teams that are also really good, or, you know, yeah, just I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
I want to believe, and I know we have what it takes, and I want to believe we're just gonna totally crush it these next 4 games. But yeah, you just never know.
It's hard. And then now, like, if Burks is not back healthy and ready to go, I mean, I guess we're down to Barber, right? I mean, like that's who we got. That's going to be in the mix if he's not back. And you know, at first it seemed like he was one of the guys early in the season, and then he kind of fell by the wayside. And you know, now he's back of the pack, I guess, for center back. And, you know, but you still believe in him and you still know that he can produce, because I feel like whenever he was on that pitch, he was an exciting center back to watch. He would love to get in the attack. That's for sure. I just think like sometimes we're just missing that presence from Burks, where he was kind of the anchor, you know what I mean? And we have some great center back options, but I don't know that there's any center back that we have that's more of like the anchor style center back that he is. Everybody else kind of has a little bit of a different like vibe and skill set to them that makes them valuable, but in very different ways. And I just feel real comfortable when he's out there. So, you know, I'm curious if we end up rolling out Danny, if maybe he plays more of that role and they're like, hold on this, you know, pushing up the field so much, maybe kind of stay back and be that anchor guy. But, you know, like you said, Jessica, it's week by week, it's always a mystery. You know, we could come into this weekend and then all of a sudden a couple players come back, and then, you know, maybe we're feeling a little bit better about things. We could go into this weekend and same situation. We have who we have, and we just got to work with it. And again, these guys are all great. It's not saying that they are not valuable enough to be out on the pitch. It's more of we're starting to have our threads pulled a little bit, right? Like we're not really as deep as we were, because we're already having to dig into the second rung of our depth. And then, you know, it will be long before we're digging into the third rung of our depth. And these guys, all talented players, nothing against them at all. But starters are starters for a reason, right? You still can't discount that. There's a reason why Boss and his coaching staff decided these 11 are kind of like our 11. And I love that the guys are stepping up in so many ways, and we've seen them produce some great results in different games. But then we've also had games like this one with New Mexico where it took a little bit. It took some time for us to figure it all out, and a little bit too much time, and we just couldn't claw that back. So one thing's for sure, we can't do that against Tulsa. Like, I mean, frankly, I hate to say this because I love nothing more than exciting matches. But like, even if we just have to dig our heels in and say, look, we're just going to make this as hard as possible for you guys to scrape out any sort of goal, then it is what it is. I'm actually okay with that at this point, and just buy time until we get healthy. But really in my heart of hearts, I would like us to stick to who we are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I feel like it's less that, there was a comment you made that made me think like it's less that we're having to kind of scrape the bottom of the barrel. And yeah, the guys we have are really talented. But I feel like it's more that, and there have been a couple games where we have had a couple people starting where I'm like, oh, that makes me a little nervous. And I'm completely surprised by how well they all like play together. And, but it's more of just like, there are times where I'm like, okay, this is the lineup we had last week, and I was nervous, but they totally crushed it, and I was really surprised. And then have the like this past week being like, oh, okay, maybe I don't feel as comfortable, you know, with it. So it's like it's hard to know what to think.
It's as a Vikings fan, it's like watching Carson Wentz destroy the Bengals mercilessly and then lose to an aging, decrepit Aaron Rodgers in the Steelers the next week. You know what I mean? That's how it feels. I'm like, one week I'm like, yeah, they can do anything, and the next week I'm like, okay, all right,
What do you think, Dylan?
But I mean,
oh, sorry, you were finishing. Sorry,
no, you're good.
We're done with your thought, Tyler.
No, you're good.
No, I just think it comes down to like consistency. We always harp on this, and we're seeing the contrast of it, with the women's team, right, where we're seeing the same starting 11 every time. There was the time when we needed to make a change due to the red card, right? So but we just like slotted in a change, and that was like seamless. And we've not been consistent at all, like this season for the men's team. I I would love to know how many lineups we've had that are like have been the same, like how many repeat lineups we've had, because I feel like the number would be so low. And I think that comes down to like the roster construction. And Tyler said, like, we have starters who are starters, and we have guys who are not starters, right? And comes down to roster construction. We spent a lot of money to make this roster, and then we're not getting the consistency that we need. So I just think it's hard to see this. It's hard to see this, like, these waves that we've gone through this season, right? Like, we started out really poorly, then we went on this really nice tear, and then it kind of like started to sputter out when we changed things up against Louisville. Like, really, that was a turning point in the season for us. There's been multiple turning points for us this season, but that was a turning point where we lost that, that hot streak we were on because the lineup changed, right? Like, things got muddied. And then ever since that moment, we've been up and down. We've had some wins, but we've had some weird games. Jess, you mentioned the Las Vegas game. What about the Colorado game too?
Yeah.
Then we eke out a win that we shouldn't have won. Like, so there's just the inconsistency is really what does it for me. Like, I just don't know what to expect from this team day in and day out. If we get as far to the playoffs, it's like we failed upwards to me. We lucked into it, and then anything past that, I can't see.
Yeah, it's going to be truly dependent on us getting healthy. Like, there's no two ways around it. Like, we have to get healthy, otherwise, even if we make it into the playoffs, the run's going to be short. Just because it we even talked about it. Like, Dylan, you mentioned that like Kieran looked a little banged up after the match, and it's like,
nervous.
Okay, what if that's bad? You know what I mean? Like, okay, what do we do now? It's just, we have personnel, but it's getting thin, and the injuries are all catching up to us at a really, really, really bad time. It's like everybody was perfectly healthy whenever we were in that losing streak, and now that we're doing good and collecting points, everybody started getting injured as we were approaching the playoffs, and so that's creating a little bit of a struggle. But you can't help it. I mean, at this point, it kind of is what it is, and all you can do is hope that those players slowly start popping back up, or not really slowly, as quick as possible, honestly, but not so quick that they end up hurting themselves again, right? You want them to be ready to go fully and not jump the gun, and then all of a sudden we pop them out on the field and then they're out for 3 more games or something crazy. So I'm just really, really hoping that we can get healthy enough that we have a good rotation, or we feel comfortable with, like, okay, we got people that are here to back you up. So it's going to be a tough road. I mean, it always was going to be, and I'm proud of the team for making it to where they have. Like, it's crazy to think that we've been battling for like top 4. Like, who would have thought that when we were in the the depths of 12th place for a few weeks, and everybody's sitting there being like, well, same old Lexington. Look at Lexington down in 12th. And then we managed to climb right back up to the top. And, now we're in that conversation, but job's definitely not done. Things are much too tight for us to just kind of rest now. So we just need it. We need it. We need to come into this next game with enough intensity to come away with any type of points necessary. It just has to happen right now. We cannot risk any more losses, frankly, because then we find ourselves in that situation kind of like last year where we're just hoping other teams lose. We're like, please lose. I need you to lose. And I hate that feeling.
I hate it
nothing
too.
worse. And I know at the end of the day, everybody needs other teams to lose, but to have all of your hopes hinge upon the fate of other teams and other matches just sucks. You want to be able to be like, no, all I need to worry about is us and what we're doing. And at the end of the day, I guess that's a good outlook. And we should just worry about us and what we can control. But you can't discount the fact that we kind of need some of these teams to slip up because we have nothing but Western Conference opponents from here on out. And, when we're looking at these Western Conference opponents, we don't want to give them any more foothold than they already have. Because then things will get even dicier for us. So we shall see. What are we thinking? We still feeling this? I know we predicted what we predicted. You guys said a loss. I said a draw against Tulsa. We still feeling the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if we won against New Mexico, I would feel very differently. I would feel like we could maybe flip it, But,
right.
Yeah.
But after that game, I don't feel very confident.
Yeah.
So if that does hold and you guys' prediction of a loss comes true, that would mean we only have 9 points left at our disposal. Because as it is right now, we got 12 left to win. So max points for us, if we won out, would be 47. The top team, which is Tulsa, currently sits at 47. There's no way they're going to end at 47. They're going to surpass that for sure. And there are plenty of other teams that could do their thing. El Paso, who's right below us, they've got a game in hand, and they're only 2 points below us.
Yeah.
So they can get 15, and they can get up to 48 if they decide to win out. It's all crazy whenever you start breaking all this down. Like Phoenix, I think, can get a max of 45, right? So I guess for us, 9's going to get us to 44. Like we need 10 to feel okay about ourselves. I feel like 10 makes us feel real warm and fuzzy. And we're like, okay. And that's a big ask. That's a lot considering who we've got that we're going to be playing against, but you got to believe it to make it happen. And, it doesn't necessarily mean that we wouldn't get a playoff spot, even if we don't get 10 of those points. That's just kind of like my comfort zone. That'd be an ideal world that we get at least that many. So tough matches all around.
The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that they lost against Indy 11, and Indy currently has 32 points and is in the 8th spot in the East. And then they drew 1-1 against Oakland, and Oakland is currently number 11. So
they're going to be hungry though.
Yeah.
But maybe not that hungry because they're sitting in a really good spot. They're not as desperate for points as anybody else is. I mean, they're pretty much already in a position where they could almost basically coast, right? I mean, like I hate to say they could, but I mean, they could probably coast and still feel like, yeah, we're going to get somewhere. But at the same time, they are playing for that home playoff spot. They want it at home. So they are going to be hungry enough to make sure they get to stay at home. And I mean, Tulsa has to be at least licking their chops a little bit looking at our past performance, right? Like saying, oh, okay, that wasn't that great. So how can we capitalize on that this time? I think our one nice thing would be if we did get at least 1 or 2 key players back. That throws a little bit of a wrench in that. And then all of a sudden they're like, where'd this guy come from?
Right.
The old classic glass shatters and my God, is that Kendall Burks? And comes out to his walkout music. That would be phenomenal, or Michael or Sophie, somebody that'd be really cool just to throw them off their game. Or maybe Sam Doer is actually a secret agent for us and he just feeds them bad intel and he's like, hey guys, want to know how to beat Lexington? And then he's like, psych, give you the bad intel. Didn't expect that, did you? And they're like, whoa, Sam Doer, no. And then we come out winning. It turns out, he activates our sleeper agents. Lucas Stauffer and Elliot Goldthorpe, and they scored 2 own goals. And we're in the playoff talk again.
Well, I did have one moment.
You like my fanfic I've got going on?
I was thinking like Naked Gun. It's like OJ getting the gun from under the base.
Yeah.
Like you see Goldthorpe going behind the goal, and then he gets a gun out.
T-shirt gun.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Man.
I did have one moment of like, haha, suck it. Moment. I was watching the last bit of the Indy Tulsa game, and it was literally like the last seconds of the stoppage time, and Tulsa had a direct kick right outside the 18, and Goldthorpe took it and missed, and I was like, ha, take that. That's what you get for leaving us.
No warm fuzzy feelings here from Jess.
Right.
Hey, but like I said, maybe sleep right.
He's still
my
our
fanfic
player.
world.
He's still what?
Our player.
Oh, well,
he still is our player.
Technically,
yes. Technically, he's still our guy.
So you want to see Altez fail, Jessica, or Nico?
Oh,
only when they're playing against us.
But they don't play against us because they're on loan.
Well,
I just put you in a pretzel.
Altez chose not to. He's like, I won't do that to them. Never, ever. And I'm like, thanks, Altez. And he's like, no problem, Tyler. And then we high five.
I don't know.
He's in Detroit.
I'm a little more salty about Goldthorpe, and he wasn't with us as long before he went on loan. Whereas Nico and Altez,
I think maybe he wanted to be here. What if the decision wasn't on him?
And you were uninviting.
And now you're shunning him.
Whoa.
What if he wants to come back and now he feels so uninvited because Jessica, now Austin's not going to give him a cup holder,
Or you heard Dylan booing him in the stands.
I have never booed him. I will own up to who I
or
booed.
any other Lexington player.
I said I will own up to who I booed.
Yeah, you will.
He is not one. He is not one.
So you heard it here. There is one somewhere. Anyway. All right.
There was a question too about the stadiums.
Yeah. Oh man, the baseball stadium they're playing in. That's probably what it was. It's actually a baseball mound they're playing on. Like
I don't understand. And so Eli had a good point. Like I also thought that there was specific requirements with stadiums.
Not that tight right now. It's pretty much like capacity. So like 5,000 for championship, I think it is. And then you have to have like a city within a certain threshold, which isn't really that high. I think there might be a couple other little things, but it's not actually that crazy. Like if it goes to like D1, then everything gets like a little more intense because then it's like 15,000 seat stadium. You have to have like, I think a million people in your metropolis. I think that's right. I think it's like 1 million or something.
Your metro area.
And yeah. And there's a couple other little factors involved. So right now, I think the league is just kind of being like, look, play where you can play. But I do think, and it's actually been said in a couple places, that the league expects teams to start marching towards that independent stadium where it meets certain requirements and becomes more of like a professional endeavor as opposed to being like, we're playing at a random college tonight and then tomorrow we're going to play on a baseball mound. Which, just for the record, people gave us so much crap about playing on a football field over baseball all day, every day, because like the baseball converted ones, the pitch is always lumpy and weird and patchy and like, and everybody's like, yeah, but there are football lines. Like, okay, whatever. There are football lines. Like, who cares? Like, yeah, it's a little distracting and hard for the players to know where the touchline is, but still, like, it's not like baseball pitch where they're going to trip over the mound or like slip and like, I don't know. I know they pat down the mound. Like, nobody come after me, but still, it just, I hope that truly we are going to march towards that. And, the league might only really get super strict about that with the D1 league that's coming, and everybody else, they're just kind of like, it is what it is. Play your game and do your thing. But it does kind of suck whenever you go to one of these places and they've just got a very subpar pitch that you're working with. And honestly, we talk about home field advantage, that does kind of give home field advantage because you're used to all the little weird quirks with your crappy pitch when you play on it and train on it. And that's kind of your home turf, right? Versus, whenever we have a high quality pitch here and we're spoiled, and then our team goes off and they're like, hey, watch out because there's a gopher hole right there that you should probably know about. It's just, I don't know. It'd be nice if we all got there.
Not only are baseball fields terrible for the players too, like it's a bad experience for the fans too, because there's whole sections where like fans are not allowed to sit and watch, and it's like large portions, so you're like losing out on good viewing experiences. And usually like most of the options are behind the net too, whereas like in a normal stadium most of them are on the sidelines that way. And I went to the game in NoCo, and they played on a weird hybrid turf baseball field, and it was like the same experience where like no good views for the fans. It's like really hard to see, and like the field is just inconsistent for soccer. It's not the same. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it does impact that whole side of things. And, if teams are going to move up to that D1 league, they're going to have to get it in order. And especially you'd have to think the urgency across the board is going to raise if we really are going to do pro rel, because then how are you going to be one of these teams that's down in one of the lower leagues where you're not meeting those requirements, and then you get promoted and then you're just like, oh, well, we don't have any of that stuff. And welcome to our baseball pitch. And you're trying to really sell yourself as a competitor to MLS. Well, I mean, not a like for like, right? But let's be honest, still the USL is trying to show like, hey, we can also be an exciting, engaging product just like they can, but in a slightly different way. And you have to have quality if you're going to do that. And, now we're speaking from a very privileged, place where we went from playing on a football stadium, not even a real big stadium, actually, just, a smaller collegiate one. And now we have our own. And hopefully all teams will get lucky enough to have that. All fans will be lucky enough to have that in the near future. Because it's got to come at some point. You spoke of Eli talking about those requirements and shouldn't anybody have to have A, B, and C for their pitch. There is a lot of talk too about that D1 league, right? So like there's a bunch of rabble rousing about Lou City submitting their bid for being part of that top tier division whenever it shows up. And, Eli was asking like, well, who else do you think will go into that? That is like a tricky question that I feel like is constantly changing with the wins, because there are like all kinds of rumors about different teams. Like I've seen people being like, Indy 11, they might fold. What will happen with them? But then in other conversations, it's like they might actually be one of the D1 teams. And so the landscape is always kind of swinging back and forth. I do know like there was the Athletic article about it a while back. This was a few months ago. And they said like Lou City, Indy 11, Sacramento, Phoenix, New Mexico, Colorado Springs, and Las Vegas were like the most likely to submit bids to go to that D1 level because they met so many of the requirements or would meet them by the time the league kicked off with it, which there are a lot of requirements. We already listed a couple of them. But you'd still probably want a few other clubs in the mix for that. So it'd be kind of interesting to see who else decides to do that. So, I mean, like you can think of ones that have really, really strong followings, like Detroit. They're at a big metropolitan city and, they've got a very strong, fervent fan base. So who knows? Maybe they're one of the ones that decides that that's for them. There have been talks like Miami might, Oakland could. We'll see, I guess. I feel, even I've had people ask like, well, you think Lexington's going to do it? I don't know. Like we have really ambitious ownership. So who knows what they're cooking up? They could be right now in this very moment, be listening to this and laughing and be like, we will be in the D1 league. Or it could be they're happy with where we're at. And then when Pro Rel kicks off, if we earn our spot into that next level, then great. We'll go from there. But it's kind of hard to say because I feel like this D1 league, even though it seems by all accounts is a sure thing. There's so many factors that I think have to settle and have to be like, okay, this is how this is going to work, and this is what this is going to look like. That, I mean, a lot of people probably aren't privy to. I'm sure ownership groups know way more than what most people do about what that might look like, and are considering all their options as we go forward. But it will be interesting to see who all goes into this. I mean, of course, Lou City was, I mean, everybody knew they were going to be one. Like, I mean, even whenever the announcement came, like Lou City did a post and they were like, we can't wait. And, fair. They are kind of like the baby of the league, the crown jewel of the league, whatever you want to call them. So it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. I'm curious who else ends up going to that spot. Would you guys want us to do the bid to be into that top tier, or would you like us to just stay where we're at and then see if we manage to earn our way up?
I think staying where we're at and build our fan base a little bit more. And I think establish ourselves because we had such a difficult time in League One as far as like performance. I think, and then with this season, I think we've done really well so far. We had a rough start, but we're really improving, and so I think improving on what we have and getting more people out in the stands. I think I would want to do that before doing the D1, because even when we said we were moving to championship, everyone was like, "Oh, you're just buying your way up." And so I think being a little more established and say, "No, we've earned our spot here," I think would make me feel a little better.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like I would like to stay and kind of work our way up and build our fan base to be even bigger, and kind of just naturally go about things. But there is like that little part of me inside where I'm like, it would put us on a bigger stage, like faster, and it would get a lot of people out faster too. Kind of like how you use the blue jerseys to entice UK fans, and then all of a sudden there's a D1 professional team in your city, and then more people are going to start to show up. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, but yeah, it's not my money.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you guys. I think I'd like to see us earn our way there. Just growing too quick, too fast can have goods and bads. I was skeptical. I was like, man, going to the championship, is that really going to pay off? And I do think it has. But also it's hard to say what was the move to the championship and what was just getting a stadium and what was also us being in year 3. You know what I mean? There's so many little factors that you're like, which one was the one, or how much of the percentage of success could you attribute to each of those things? And I'm sure there's probably some much smarter person that could figure that out. But I would like to see us earn it because of all the crap that we took whenever we went from League One to championship. Everybody acted like it was the worst thing in the world that we bought our way to the next level. And they were like, what? And it's like, well, you know what? We're trying to build something, and we're trying to get some high level talent that's exciting and at a high level league. But I think this is a good level for our city. And I think that would add a lot of intrigue if the conversation was, hey, if this team wins, we're going to be going to D1 level. So come out and support, and then think about how cool that would be if we were in a playoff situation and that was on the line, and then the team is able to advertise that in the city and be like, this is for all the marbles. Like, this isn't just a trophy. This is us moving to a whole new tier competition. So I think that would be really cool to see that happen. And I think for me, it would be a lot less stressful. I feel like you go to the top and then you start wondering, like, okay, some team, if Pro-Rel is enacted, some team is going to have to get relegated. And I don't think I'd want that on my mind in year 1 of that league taking off. I would not want to be the first team to get relegated. out of that tier. I don't need that. We've had too many like historic moments in our club's history that benefited other people and other teams. It was like first hat trick in Super League history. Wasn't us, but it was against us. Like we've had those moments, and I don't want another one. Just keep those away from me. Let us be like the first team to get promoted. Let's do that.
Yeah. Well, and as far as like growing the fan base in Lexington, and I know we've touched on this before, but being so heavily like such a huge UK fan base, and just that is the whole focus. And to the point of like, well, it's not good to have games the same night as a UK football or basketball game because we know they're all going to go there. They're not going to come here except for us because we're
right.
But also there are times like in groups where people are like, oh, what are you guys doing, or anyone have any suggestions? Like we were recently in a group setting where someone was like, hey, anything fun that you guys would recommend that you guys have done lately? And I was like first raise my hand and say, hey, Lexington Sporting Club games, and still had multiple people that are like, oh, is that stadium by the interstate? Oh, that's what that is. Like still having people be like, oh, I forgot that was even there. And so still I think doing some more organic growth with the area I think would be really beneficial too.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. And it just, I think it would really, really resonate with fans to see that type of story if we were able to climb our way up. But we got some time before that all happens. So it's a couple years down the road, although it'll probably fly by before we know it. Right now, I'm just really, really focused on us doing what we can in the championship and proving that we belong here and that we're a team that can really get it done. And, I think step one is making the playoffs for me. I feel making the playoffs. I know everybody's like, yeah, but 8 teams out of the West have to make the playoffs. With how tight the West is, I feel like that would actually be an accomplishment this year.
Yeah.
I feel like as it stands, I would mark that down as a win. We make it to the playoffs. And, I would be over the moon if we make it to the playoffs and then win at least one game. And I know that feels like a low bar, but we are LSC fans, and the bar has been very low for a very long time. And I feel like that right there would be a big step for us because I'm okay with baby steps year after year. I'm not expecting us to all of a sudden be like, boom, we're going to win the playoffs right out of the gate. I would love for us to, and I believe in this team. And if it happens, I would not be shocked. But I'm also like, all right, let's take this piece by piece and then be happy with each win, each thing that we accomplish, and kind of move from there. So time will tell what that's all going to look like. All right, covered a lot of ground here. I don't know, did I miss anything? You guys are always way better at keeping track of things than me. You're always like, oh yeah, that one thing that you were supposed to talk about. We're good.
Just upcoming games.
Yeah, 2 away games this weekend. No home match. What the heck? Like that seems like it's a rarity. I don't think we had many of those things happen last year where there was both teams away at the same time, but at least there's an hour staggered between them, I believe. I think one's at 8 o'clock and one's at 9 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. So at least there's a little bit of a stagger, although they will bleed into one another. So hopefully we can picture it or something. And I haven't checked. I hope it's not on CBS Sports Network. That was abysmal.
That was a pain.
That was like it said that it was going to be on Paramount Plus 2 on Fight Mob. They did us dirty, and that happened to everybody. There were at least like 10 people that were like, I can't watch the game. I thought it was going to be on Paramount Plus 2 because Fight Mob told me. So Fight Mob, can't believe you. You
get it
disappointed. But also like CBS Sports Network, that is not a common channel for most people. So let's just not do that again. Like I think way more people have Golazo. Like I don't mind when they do the Golazo. I know not everybody has it, but I feel like more people have it than Sports Network. So yeah, I hope that does not happen. Before we leave though, okay, I just want to make sure we do a quick shout out. Tim Meadows, he's with the Railbirds. I know his family's going through some stuff right now, and we want you to know that we are thinking of you guys. We're there for you guys. is really cool. Seeing everybody just kind of supporting you, talking about the match, like, hey, we got to be there for Tim. So I hope you guys are doing well, and we can't wait to see you guys back at a match again soon, hopefully. So, Tim, we're thinking of you, man, you and your family.
Definitely.
Okay, guys, that's a wrap. Away weekend, 6 points. Let's do it. Let's bully Spokane, so that way they don't make another cringe post like they did this last time. And then let's just go for it. Let's just win against Tulsa. Let's just win. F it, we ball, right? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's get all three. Why not?
I gladly
We're gonna do it.
Crow.
Yes, I will eat several crows if it means we get to win. So prepare them. No. All right, guys. I think that's everything. We're good. Until next time, you know what it is. Come on, you greens.